What is currently happening, programs? Welcome to the Grid VR, where I'll be bringing you this week's news in virtual reality. It's Sunday, the 14th of October, 2018, and all I can say this week is, Dad, tell me the story of Face McShooty. We've got Borderlands 2 VR gets shooting in the face, Astro Bot release causes mainstream waves, Magic Leap's Mica AI real facial animate, Berlin Blitz 1943, The Great Sea, Assetto Corsa, and much more. Today I'm going to cover off the main events to keep you in the loop. So stay locked, enjoy, and welcome to the Grid VR. Borderlands 2 is coming to PSVR in a month's time as Gearbox and publisher 2K Games bring the Pandoran epic to virtual reality. Badass your way through the cel-shaded landscape as Axton the Commando, Maya the Siren, Salvador the Gunzerker, or Zero the Assassin as they attempt to storm the Hyperion Moon Vault and stop Handsome Jack from using the Angel from Awakening the Warrior. This is the full release of Borderlands 2 in VR, and while you won't see the two DLC characters from the flat game initially, we may see them later on, though we will see all the favourites including Mad Moxie, Tiny Tina, Lilith, Mordecai, Brick, and to a lesser extent Claptrap. This will be single player only, so no multiplayer co-op. It will support both the DualShock 4 and PlayStation Move controllers with full smooth locomotion on both of those controllers, as well as a teleport option or a mix of teleport and smooth locomotion. With the PS Move controllers, you'll be able to do some first-person driving or dual-wield guns when rampaging the stage as Salvador. Character abilities in the game have been modified to work better in a single-player only environment. For instance, Maya's Res ability will now be called Empathy, which instead of reviving your teammates using Phase Lock, Empathy will instead damage enemies. There's a bullet time mechanic that slows down time temporarily called Badass Mega Fun Time, which to be honest sounds just like a Badass Mega Fun Time. Coincidence? Probably. It's a PSVR exclusive right now, but the Borderlands Twitter team have quoted this being launched as a VR exclusive, which may suggest that it will start with Sony and then hopefully port over to PC. Maybe. And while some salty programs aren't over the Hyperion Moon because this isn't Borderlands 3, as they're saying Gearbox are becoming the next Bethesda by charging everyone again for a port onto a new system. I'm cool with that. I mean, if I buy a goddamn potato, you bet your ass I want to know I can play Borderlands 2 on it. Pre-orders will get a dynamic Borderlands 2 PlayStation theme featuring the four main characters, and the game will be released on December the 14th on PSVR for $50. Remember in the last episode of the Grid VR when I mentioned that the writer for VentureBeat said there'd be a redefining VR game released, and then I showed a totally relevant clip of Prince having his way with a guitar? Yeah, well, turns out the game is actually sweeping the system. Astro Bot Rescue Mission is a VR platformer from Sony's Japan Studios team, where you interact with the virtual world and guide Astro, the captain bot, on a mission to rescue his crew's stolen VR visor. Through 20 levels, collect coins, fight larger-than-life bosses, use your DualShock 4 controller as a creative aid to help get through the world in one piece, and revel in the Nintendo-like creation from Sony. Road to VR and IGN Japan both gave it a 10 out of 10, and it is now the #1 PSVR game of all time, and actually the #5 PS4 game of all time, sitting it with titles like Shadow of the Colossus and God of War. And what's great about this game is its selling systems, with lots of programs posting this week of bundle purchases they've made after seeing the game in action. This is definitely as close as we've got to an en masse system seller, aka the killer app, as far as a single VR game has gone. And though it may be too early for a single game to spread the virus to global global assimilation, I've put links in the description to the trailer and the PSVR store for Astro Bot if you want to help that along. Assetto Corsa Competizione, the super realistic sim racer, now has VR support from the early access release too. The team behind the game listed the support as fix the no VR no buy bug, so if you were one of those that said you wanted VR support for this game, then there it is. Now go buy it. Just be aware that it's still in early access, and so you will likely see the occasional bug, and the complete content of the game won't be quite there yet. If you do want a complete full release Assetto Corsa game with VR support, then the previous release is the one you want. If, however, you do want to play the latest release of Assetto Corsa, I've put a link in the description below to the monthly giveaway I'm running for all Tier 2 Plus patrons. Plus, I've also left a link to the game's Steam store page if you want to support the developers through early access that way. And briefly, The Great Sea is a VR adaptation from Secret Location, based on a sci-fi short story of the same name by Phillip K. Dick, whose previous books also include Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which Ridley Scott later adapted into the Blade Runner movie. The story revolves around Claire and her husband Tim, who have been summoned to report to the Great Sea, a mysterious, maniacal AI overlord that demands from the shadows. It's around 40 minutes long and is hands down the best VR short story I've seen, on a few levels actually. If you like VR short stories and or sci-fi, and or you want a VR short story to show people what VR short storytelling can do, then for around $5 on Steam and the Oculus store, this is more than worth the watch. Now, out of respect for those in World War II, I'm gonna cut the music for a minute. BBC Northern Ireland and Immersive VR Education have released a VR account of the crew of a Lancaster bomber named F for Freddy, as it flies into Nazi-occupied Berlin on an Allied bombing run in 1943. What's so crazy about this one is it features the real audio recording from the flight, and it adds up to an absolutely exhilarating, stark, and also terrifying VR story told as you sit right there with the crew, as the plane chugs through enemy searchlights and avoids surface-to-air artillery before making the bombing run. The VR experience itself was flawless, but the events that took place in that time were just so crazy. 1943 Berlin Blitz is up on Steam for free right now, and I've put a link in the description, and I highly recommend you experience this for yourself.
Go on, you carry on now, Jock. As Scotchman, anyway, carry on.
From the lead developer of Kerbal Space Program comes Balsa Model Flight Simulator, a VR sandbox model flight sim where you can build and fly your own model planes. It will have VR motion controller and HOTA support and will be available on the Oculus Rift on October the 17th. The devs have also confirmed that it will come to Steam soon, with HTC Vive support as a definite. There will be a regular desktop PC version also developed, and PSVR support is a possibility depending on how it goes. Mica is a digital human presented at the Magic L.E.A.P conference this week, and what's crazy cool about this AI is the realism of her facial micro-expressions that make Mica seem so naturally real, as opposed to something like an AI that gives you that uncanny valley feeling, like this one. Some who attended the conference also got to meet Mica in person, courtesy of a Magic Leap 1 headset, and while maybe not as real as what you see here, she was pretty close. Crazy times indeed if this is the future of digital interaction. Valve have released Gulping Goats, a very large, very Valve Steam VR home environment that you can hang out in with friends in a social setting before jumping into games. It's not quite one of the 3 VR games Valve has promised us. In fact, it's not even even close, but it is very cool to walk around in and see what something truly Valve looks like in VR. And if this is the type of canvas they are working on for their 3 VR titles, it is an extremely promising start. Gulping Goats is free, and there's a link in the description below to that, plus a link to my full walkthrough with commentary on my alternate channel for all my patrons. Also, Hello Games have a developers survey on their website where programs can vote what they are most interested in seeing in the future of No Man's Sky. There's a link in the description. You don't need to sign up for anything, and there is a VR support option in the survey. So if you want to help see No Man's Sky get VR support, then this is where it starts. John Carmack has tweeted this week that his legal disputes with Bethesda's parent company ZeniMax are done and dusted, and so that's that whole sordid affair closed out, which you can see more of in this episode of the Grid VR. This doesn't mean that the food fight between Oculus and ZeniMax is over though. That battle still rages on, no doubt. Marcus, another VR YouTuber whose channel I'll link in the description below, ate a Naga chili before going into VR. And while it's definitely not something I would recommend, Naga chilies are actually really cheap right now. And once you get past the initial facial burn, the first degree rectal burn, and total loss of belief in anything spiritually divine, it really is a lot of amusement for me personally to watch. So yeah, Naga chilies. Visage, the spiritual successor to PT, hit early access this week, and the devs have confirmed that VR support is planned at some stage during early access. I've started a Steam discussion over on the game's Steam page, so if you want to head over there and show VR support for this one some love, as always, all the links are in the description. And finally, Google Plus is closing its doors this week, and there are no doubt a lot of one person that will miss the good times had by all by themselves. I personally care a lot about this. Yo, does that chicken have a mustache? Wait, what was I talking about? And that's this week on the Grid VR. You can help support this channel by grabbing exclusive rewards on Patreon, and if you like this video, then crush that like button, have your say in the comments below, and hit the XO logo to subscribe if you wanna. I'll see you in the next one. Peace!